Chapter 906, Prince Seal. The Destruction Dragon race was ranked 9th in the 10,000 ancient races, and they were born for destruction. The growth of any destruction dragon would cause untold destruction. They would then comprehend and absorb origin destruction and become stronger. Origin destruction was the source of power for the destruction dragon race. Not good, it's the power of origin destruction. The flabby-faced elder roared with surprise as his sacred power started to move. The black destruction serpent dragon radiated an ancient and undying black fire that suppressed everything within 10,000 miles. Space itself became unstable and started to twist as the undying black flames appeared. These black flames burned through the air and started to slowly expand. How is it so strong? Grand Emperor Song was stunned. Origin destruction was the source of power for all members of the destruction dragon race. This meant that, in order to weaken a destruction dragon, they had to decrease the power of their origin destruction. At this moment, the black destruction serpent dragon was able to suppress all of the experts present even though its battle power hadn't reached the level of a demigod yet. Even the golden yuan divine chains were unable to hold on. This exceeded everyone's expectation. He's destroying the inner dimension inside his body in order to obtain more origin destruction. The wrinkled elder seemed to be able to see through everything as he cried out in shock. The black destruction serpent dragons could form a world within their body. This was a talent limited to black serpent dragons. This world contained the black destruction serpent dragon's origin destruction, and the two complemented one another. The dimension of the black serpent dragon could even form the element of destruction. Because the black destruction serpent dragon wasn't willing to be sealed up once more, he destroyed his foundation, and the terrifying wave of origin destruction made the hearts of all the experts present shake. The sacred lords further back felt their power become completely suppressed, and they were unable to even release the projection of their little world. What? This black loach? One of the dragon-robed elders had a grim expression. Come with me down to hell. The black destruction serpent dragon roared and released his anger as flames of insanity burned through his eyes. A terrifying aura was released, and cracks started to appear on his scaly armor as beams of destruction shot out. The expressions of the four supreme experts were extremely ugly as they talked with one another. If they continued to try to seal the black destruction serpent dragon, they would not only be severely injured, but the golden yuan divine chains would also be drastically weakened, and the sacred lords behind them might be killed. It wouldn't be the end of the world if the sacred lords died, but if news of them being severely injured was learned by the Dark Moon Lord dynasty, a war between the two Lord dynasties would start and might result in the destruction of the entire Great Gun Lord dynasty. However, if they chose to retreat, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon might run free. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would be able to easily destroy the Great Gun Lord dynasty at its peak. The four soon came to a decision. Retreat. Quickly retreat. Grand Emperor Song immediately took back the substandard God Golden Yuan divine chains. Shoot Tiltaboom. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body exploded, releasing a supreme aura and countless black flames that turned everything into ashes. The entire Seven Aperture Mountains area was covered by the chaotic blast of black flames, and the four balls of divine light quickly retreated from the Seven Aperture Mountains. However, the sacred lords weren't as lucky. They didn't even know that the ancestors were planning to give this order. Any tiny bit of origin destruction would suck in the power within sacred lords and burn even more fiercely. The damage caused by origin destruction had the same characteristic as the immortal and undying God Tribulation Lightning. The four ancestors stood above the Seven Aperture Mountains with twinkling eyes. They spread their divine senses, but they were unable to pass through the storm of origin destruction. Countless small black destruction serpent dragon figures suddenly shot out from the storm like an ocean of ants. These figures were extremely small and agile as they ran in every direction. Kill all of them, Grand Emperor Song said in a powerful tone, and all the sacred lords took action. Mystic light sacred power killed hundreds and thousands of black destruction serpent dragon figures. The four ancestors didn't do anything. Instead, they locked onto the depths of the storm, but the magnificent power they radiated was enough to make the small black destruction serpent dragons close to them crumble. Shameless humans. The black destruction serpent dragon roared within the world of darkness. A 500-yard-long serpent dragon with black scales suddenly shot out. Its eyes were red and dripping with blood. There were countless cracks on its scales. Go. The four elders all released a surge of divine light as they followed after it. The power they released was like a prison and restrained everything. No one realized that, when the large black serpent dragon flew into the sky, a small black serpent dragon dove into the ground. The day I return is your final day. Zhao Feng immediately entered seclusion when he returned to the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. He had only recovered 60% or so of his injuries and still needed some time. He circulated his 10,000 divine thoughts technique and multitasked while recovering. Part of the symbols within his purple soul sea merged into the fire of wind lightning within his crystal core. Zhao Feng's injuries and his purple soul sea completely healed after 3 days, and that meant he would cultivate his body and soul now. His consciousness focused on cultivating the fire of wind lightning, his sacred lightning body, his sacred lightning dominating fist, and absorbing the power of God Tribulation lightning within the demigod head. The power of God Tribulation lightning was easy to imprint into his soul sea, and it could also refine his soul in the process. Therefore, Zhao Feng wasn't scared of imprinting it into his fire of wind lightning. 5 days later, Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body suddenly shook, and a wave of golden lightning circulated within his body. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as his sacred lightning body reached the peak stages of the 5th level. Now all he needed to do was take some 100 origin sacred honey, and his sacred lightning body would reach the limit of the 5th level. I should wait for a while so that the power of the sacred lightning body sinks in. Zhao Feng nodded his head after thinking for a while. Another few days later, the aura from Zhao Feng's body suddenly rose. He had reached the late stages of the Void God realm, and the fire of wind lightning within his crystal core had reached the early stages. The red true yuan contained more than 100 symbols of God Tribulation lightning. On this day, 2 figures appeared in the Misty Moon Island zone. One of them was a tall young male with an ancient green lightning sword. He was very young, but he was already an emperor. The other was an elder with black robes, a wrinkled face, and one eye that gave off a soul-stirring sensation. 9th Prince, are you really going to recruit Zhao Feng? The one-eyed elder was puzzled. The purple-haired demonic duo offended half of the forces in the Great Gon Lord dynasty during the Divine Illusion dimension, and the 13th Prince told the Sacred Emperor many bad things about the purple-haired demonic duo, especially Zhao Feng. All the Imperials have a bad impression of him, the one-eyed elder said. Old Ying, I know what I'm doing, the 9th Prince turned toward the one-eyed elder and said confidently. Old Ying shook his head but didn't say anything else. The two traveled at a very fast pace and soon arrived at the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. This Ocean Smoke Pavilion is located in a good place. The heaven-earth yuan-chi and scenery are very good. A light flashed through Old Ying's eyes. The 9th Prince also stopped and surveyed the water transversed sacred land. The Great Gon Imperials are here. Come out and greet us. Old Ying shouted as an invisible force covered the entire water transversed sacred land. Boom. The water transversed sacred land shook as beasts screeched in fright and water rippled. The arrays in the mist started to lose control, and all the members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion felt their blood boil as they were unable to resist this voice. What strength! Bai Kuang Yue's face changed. Whoosh! A green and blue figure flew out, arrived in front of the 9th Prince, and spoke in a very respectful tone. This little female is the pavilion master of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. I'm sorry for coming to greet the 9th Prince so late. Please come in and have a cup of tea. We can talk over anything slowly. Where is Zhao Feng? Tell him to come see the 9th Prince. Old Ying looked down from above and said in a deep voice. Old Ying, I'll do the talking. The 9th Prince stopped him and flew down. Old Ying's expression was grim, but he could only follow. He wanted to see what kind of talent this Zhao Feng had for the 9th Prince to personally invite him. Wang Tilda. A surge of soul intent suddenly shot out from a hall in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and covered the entire water transversed sacred land. The magnificent power that was controlled by Old Ying and the 9th Prince was stripped away by this soul intent, and they felt their backs turn cold when this intent scanned over them. It was as if someone had seen straight through them. Such strong soul intent. Old Ying was stunned and took back his underestimation. He was now genuinely curious. Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes in the chamber. The deep purple whirlpool in his left eye started to calm down and finally fade. A tiring sensation also washed over his left eye. Peak Emperor intent that is extremely close to a sacred lord. The instant his soul intent improved, Zhao Feng sensed the unwelcome guests outside the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. This was the warning Zhao Feng had given them for being so arrogant in his territory. Within a hall. Since when did the ninth prince have so much time as to come here? Zhao Feng took a sip of tea and asked casually. The ninth prince gave a deep glance toward Zhao Feng. He still hadn't recovered from the shock. How long had it been since the divine illusion dimension ended? Back then, Zhao Feng was at the late stages of the Great Origin Core Realm, and within just half a year's time, he had reached the late stages of the Void God Realm. Such cultivation speed was shocking. He had indeed found the right person. The ninth prince also knew Zhao Feng's true identity, which was legendary even in the continent zone. Brother Zhao's cultivation speed made me look up to you. I'm here this time to invite Brother Zhao to help me. The ninth prince got straight to the point. Zhao Feng admired the ninth prince, who was straightforward and not fake like others who had power. However, he was more puzzled. The one-eyed elder next to the ninth prince had the strength of a quasi-sacred lord, and that was just on the surface. On top of that, he was a prince of the Great Gan Imperials, which was the ruler of the Lord dynasty. Why would such a person need his help? Has Brother Zhao heard of the Prince Seal? The ninth prince's expression started to become solemn. Chapter 907, Gold. Tell me about it. Zhao Feng could tell from the word prince what it was about, but he didn't know the specifics. The expressions of the three next to him stiffened. He was a citizen of the Lord dynasty and didn't know what the Prince Seal was? Bai Kuang-yue quickly accepted this situation. She had known Zhao Feng for a while and knew that Zhao Feng was a cultivation maniac that didn't pay much attention to the outside world. Old Ying's eye had locked onto Zhao Feng from beginning. The more he looked at Zhao Feng, the more shocked he was. It was as if he could see stuff that others couldn't. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng's reputation was so terrible, he would agree to the ninth prince recruiting this helper immediately. The symbol of the Great Gan Sacred Emperor is the Emperor Seal, and before that is the Prince Seal, the ninth prince said solemnly after organizing his thoughts. The Emperor Seal was the symbol of the Sacred Emperor, and it affected the providence of the Lord dynasty. With it, he could enjoy the enormous providence of the entire Lord dynasty. Every sacred emperor was chosen from among the princes, and they had to undergo a lot of hard work and danger to win. The Prince Seal was an important factor for who would win. The current sacred emperor only has 10 years remaining before reaching the limit. A battle for the position of crown prince will happen in 4 years. Bai Kuang-yue paused. If they calculated the time, this was indeed the case. She had been busy organizing the Ocean Smoke Pavilion and forgot about this. The battle to become the crown prince is an extremely big event, and almost all 2-star and 3-star powers and families will join in. It's a big chance to clean everyone's slates. When the Ocean Smoke Pavilion used to be a subordinate force of 9 Darkness Palace, they didn't have a right to participate, but it was different now. What's that got to do with me? Zhao Feng yawned and wasn't very interested. Seeing Zhao Feng act like this, Old Ying's mouth twitched. The battle to become the crown prince isn't as simple as you think it is. All the princes fight in a special dimension, and each prince can take in a certain number of people to help them. Zhao Feng, I need your help in the battle to become crown prince. The ninth prince's expression was serious, and he had an honest gaze. What happened in the divine illusion dimension was deeply imprinted into the ninth prince's mind. The purple-haired demonic duo was able to scare and make all the other forces respect them despite being a mere 2 people. Apart from the Sky Sword Pavilion, who managed to obtain a tattered ancient god weapon, the purple-haired demonic duo was the biggest winner. The ninth prince had thought this through. The name of the purple-haired demonic duo wasn't good. Nan Gongsheng in particular had been eroded by the power of the evil god and chased after by many forces. He could only recruit Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng was extremely mysterious, and he had obtained the supportive substandard god item, the Misty Spatial World. He believed that this item would be of great help when trying to become the crown prince. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's battle power wasn't to be underestimated either. His eye bloodline and body were extremely strong even when he was in the Great Origin Core Realm, so it would be even more shocking after reaching the late stages of the Void God Realm. If he managed to recruit Zhao Feng, he would definitely play an important role. He also knew that the 8th prince and Zhao Feng weren't on very good terms, and the 13th prince disliked Zhao Feng as well, so the 9th prince came over personally. Bai Kuang-yue stood behind Zhao Feng excitedly. She didn't expect that her master would be able to attract a prince to come in person. Zhao Feng would definitely not give up such a good chance. That dimension was where the imperial experts were put after they died, and there were countless treasures and inheritances. The weakest of them was at the quasi-sacred lord level. Some were even suspicious that it contained the demigod inheritance of the imperial founder. It was hard to fathom how many people would fight over a slot or how much they would pay for one. If Zhao Feng helped the ninth prince and he managed to win, Zhao Feng might be able to become an upper echelon imperial that could join the Grand Imperial Hall. All of Zhao Feng's forces would benefit as well. Zhao Feng understood the battle to become crown prince after the ninth prince and Old Ying explained it to him. Zhao Feng didn't really care about the inheritances in that dimension since they were left behind by imperial experts. They were designed more for people who had the imperial bloodline. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's Golden Kun Sacred Lightning Body and 5 Elemental Wind Lightning Technique were already demigod level. One came from the demigod Kun Yuan, the other came from the Wind Lightning Emperor, and they were both perfected in the Heaven's Legacy City. They were already the best techniques. On the other end, Zhao Feng also didn't want to enter the battle between the prince since it concerned the entire Lord dynasty and all the forces within. He finally managed to stun everyone by killing a sacred lord and get some peace. He wanted to put more time into cultivating and increasing his strength, not pissing everyone off again. Furthermore, he wasn't sure as to which prince the Duanmu family stood behind. Duanmu Qing, the Purple Saint Partial Spirit, and Zhao Yufei all wanted to make the Duanmu family great again, and Zhao Feng obviously didn't want to be against the Duanmu family. "I'm sorry, but I can't agree." Zhao Feng declined outright, and the hall fell silent. The ninth prince, Old Ying, and Bai Kuang Yue felt their mouths drop open, and they were slightly suspicious as to whether they heard correctly or not. They originally thought that Zhao Feng acted in such a bored manner because he didn't know about the battle to become the crown prince and that Zhao Feng would definitely agree after knowing everything. They never would have expected Zhao Feng to decline outright. "Why is that? Does Brother Zhao not think well of me?" Disappointment flashed through the ninth prince's eyes. Of all the princes, he had the most normal birth, and the forces that supported him couldn't be compared to the other princes. At the moment, he had only recruited a few people and was nowhere near ready. He had also received some news that many princes had managed to recruit some terrifying experts. "Zhao Feng, you don't want a chance like this?" Old Ying was impatient and acted as if he didn't understand why iron couldn't just turn into steel. He was originally against the ninth prince coming here, but he didn't expect Zhao Feng to actually decline the ninth prince's invitation. "Firstly, I'm not very interested in the inheritances. Secondly, I don't think you have a big chance of winning. Basically, I'm risking my life for you, but what I get in return pales in comparison." If Zhao Feng didn't give any reasons, he believed that the ninth prince and Old Ying would continue to encourage him, so Zhao Feng threw out a couple reasons and declined once more. The ninth prince and Old Ying half doubted and half believed what Zhao Feng said. Who wouldn't want the inheritance of a demigod? The inheritances of some experts didn't just contain battle techniques, it could also include all their treasures and weapons. Although Old Ying didn't think well of Zhao Feng in the first place, being rejected when he and the ninth prince came in person made him uncomfortable. "Zhao Feng, the benefits of entering the Imperial Tomb aren't limited to just that." Old Ying's murky eye suddenly flashed. "The Imperial Tomb is a tattered dimension that isn't very stable. Even now, those stronger than sacred kings can't enter. Therefore, it might contain the secrets or treasures of the ancient era. Furthermore, the ancient aura contained within can increase one's state of existence, and many people use this chance to break through to the mystic light realm," Old Ying said slowly as he recalled. Sacred King was the name for those that had reached the peak mystic light realm. They were a tier between sacred lords and demigods. Zhao Feng's expression paused for a moment. A dimension left behind from the ancient era was indeed attractive, and he did want to scout it around. This scene was noticed by Old Ying, and he felt smug. "Brother Zhao, if you're willing to help me, then I, Zhou Xiang, am willing to help you do 3 things within my ability. This deal will stand whether I'm the crown prince or the sacred emperor." Zhou Xiang's eyes were firm, and the expressions of Zhao Feng and Old Ying changed. It wasn't because of how attractive his offer was, it was because they could feel the decisiveness contained within his words. "Ninth prince, you?" Old Ying felt that the ninth prince was being too rash. How could he give out a promise like this so easily? The promise of a mere prince was small, but the promise of the sacred emperor wasn't. "Let me think about it. You can go back first." Seeing the ninth prince's firm eyes, Zhao Feng seemed to see himself when he was back in Sunfeather City and the Broken Moon clan, so he gave this answer. "Sure, there's still 4 years left. I'll definitely leave a spot for Brother Zhao. The ninth prince revealed a joyful look, whereas old Ying shook his head and didn't think that Zhao Feng would agree. Within a side hall, after the ninth prince left, Bai Kuang Yue, was everything that old Ying said about the dimension true? Did he hide anything? Zhao Feng asked directly because he didn't know much. Master may not know, but old Ying was once in the upper echelon of the Imperial Skynet, so what the ninth prince knows about the Imperial Tomb exceeds the information that the Ocean Smoke Pavilion has. At the moment, there are no suspicious points, Bai Kuang Yue replied honestly. Imperial Skynet? Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. The Imperial Skynet was the Great Gan Lord Dynasty's biggest information agency, and it had the Imperials and the Grand Imperial Hall behind them. They were spread across every corner of the Lord Dynasty, and some were even embedded in the non-human races. But I also want to suggest that Master participates in the battle to become Crown Prince. I think Master can choose which one to support, but Master should still do it, Bai Kuang Yue added. Now that Zhao Feng was the Grand Elder of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion, they needed permission from Zhao Feng to join. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was sitting in a corner within the misty spatial world and consolidating his cultivation, getting ready to break through to the mystic light realm. Master. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight opened his eyes and got up. I need you to do something right now. Master, please give me your order. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight revealed a surprised look. This was the first time Zhao Feng had given him a task. Go back to Black Screen Corner and bring all your elite subordinates over, Zhao Feng faintly said. Okay, I'll go immediately. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was very excited. From the looks of it, Zhao Feng was planning to start his assassination organization, and that was exactly what he wanted to do too. Zhao Feng started to think after giving that order. Looks like I need to go to the Guanmu family. Zhao Feng murmured, but he would only leave when the Ocean Smoke Pavilion had a sacred lord or else he would worry. Earth Spirit Hall might not take action against Zhao Feng for now after receiving news of a sacred lord being killed, but who knew how long it would take him to come back if he left for the internal regions of the continent zone. It was very likely that Earth Spirit Hall would take action against the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. He had to wait to see if Old Monster Shu could become a sacred lord or not. If he didn't, then he'd have to wait for Supreme Emperor Dark Knight to break through. Gold? Zhao Feng looked at the purple hair on the side of his head and found that there were 3 or 4 golden hairs that stood out. Chapter 908, Successfully Breaking Through. Zhao Feng knew that the god's spiritual eye was about to evolve once again and that it might take some time. He needed to prepare. The evolution of the god's spiritual eye awakened the sleeping origin power within it. Every time it awakened, the stronger the god's spiritual eye would become. According to previous experience, this evolution was related to Zhao Feng, but the evolution itself was generally random and unable to be controlled. Zhao Feng was looking forward to what changes the god's spiritual eye would bring him this time. Wang tilde. Zhao Feng's eye intent suddenly sensed something, and he looked toward a certain direction. Old Monster Shu is starting. With a wave of his arm guard, Zhao Feng disappeared alongside a flash of silver. The next moment, in the air above the 10,000 Sacred Clan, Wang Shua. A purple-haired figure covered in silver light appeared. A golden light covered the forbidden grounds of the 10,000 Sacred Clan and started to form a large purple golden whirlpool. All the experts and disciples of the 10,000 Sacred Clan felt their blood and true yuan shake. If it wasn't for the fact that the disciples lived far away from the forbidden grounds, just a tiny wisp of this aura would be enough to kill those at the true spirit realm or small origin core realm. Emperor Ling Chong nearby sighed. I hope that Grand Elder will succeed this time. The 10,000 Sacred Clan had been weak for far too long. The Grand Elder is a quasi-sacred lord, so he will definitely succeed with another portion of the 100 origin sacred honey. On the other side, the eyes of the Emperor in black robes flashed. Wang hu tilde. A forbidden aura that suppressed everything in the world appeared from the golden whirlpool and whistled in every direction. It had the ability to call the rain and summon clouds. Emperor Ling Chong and the Emperor in black robes felt that they couldn't control their own true yuan, and they even found it hard to breathe. They couldn't even form their magnificent power. Wang. A sacred light suddenly descended from the purple golden whirlpool, and the yuan qi in every direction gathered toward this sacred light. The sacred light slowly descended onto Old Monster Shu. Wang. The exact same power within Old Monster Shu's body resonated and connected with this sacred light. The sacred light connected. The Emperor in black robes revealed a joyful expression. Boom! The purple golden whirlpool in the air seemed to obtain some sort of power, and it started to quickly spin and absorb all the heaven-earth yuan qi within several dozens of thousands of miles. Hoo! The sacred light that connected Old Monster Shu to the purple golden whirlpool was extremely profound. A pure white sacred light fell and allowed Old Monster Shu to enter a weird state. The aura of Old Monster Shu's soul started to weaken as it merged into his body. The force radiating from him was enough to shake heaven and earth. In the clouds, Zhao Feng opened the god's spiritual eye and inspected what happened when Old Monster Shu broke through. The crystal core within Old Monster Shu's body was turning into a whirlpool and absorbing the mystic light sacred power of the purple golden whirlpool. However, the biggest change was Old Monster Shu's physical body. The mystic light sacred power had changed it completely. That's... Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye caught a wisp of darkness, and a faint smile appeared on his face. A pair of scarlet wings of lightning formed on his back, and he arrived where Old Monster Shu was in seclusion with just a flash. Incoming expert. The Emperor in black robes was immediately alarmed and spread his magnificent power. Wait, that's Zhao Feng. Emperor Ling Chong immediately stopped them. Old Monster Shu had told them about the 100 origin sacred honey. They couldn't believe that Old Monster Shu was willing to serve Zhao Feng at first, but they weren't too surprised after thinking about it. 100 years wasn't much for a sacred lord, especially someone who was about to die without help. The 10,000 sacred clan had hopes of returning back to its glorious 3-star days if Old Monster Shu broke through. The two emperors were even slightly grateful toward Zhao Feng. There's an expert coming? Isn't that Zhao Feng? King Lu Yun had a puzzled expression. What does he want? King Lu Chong was worried. The scenery of Zhao Feng killing all the experts from Earth Spirit Hall still appeared in his mind. He slew everyone that stood in his way, and they couldn't stop Zhao Feng if he wanted to do anything. Zhao Feng? Why is he trying to stop Grand Elder from breaking through? The youth in black robes was stunned. Zhao Feng, what are you doing? Emperor Ling Chong called out as she saw Zhao Feng approach Old Monster Shu who was breaking through. She didn't believe that Zhao Feng was here to stop Old Monster Shu from breaking through, but Zhao Feng was indeed approaching where Old Monster Shu was breaking through. Zhao Feng didn't reply. A purple light started to form in his left eye. Not good, I've been found. The dark light that had been hiding flashed and disappeared. Lightning wings spatial flash. Whoosh. Shu tilde. Zhao Feng's speed rose dramatically, and he turned into an arc of scarlet lightning that blinked through the air. In the next instant, he was already 1,000 miles away and surrounded by scarlet lightning. An invisible force radiated around him. Sacred lightning dominating body. Ha! Zhao Feng's body became taller and released a glow of golden blue. He was like a golden lightning giant that crushed everything with his physical body. Boom! The air crackled, and a skinny pale white human figure was squeezed out. Blood dripped from his mouth. Mental energy spike. A beam of purple lightning shot into the skinny and wrinkled male's soul, and the power of God Tribulation lightning blinked as it unleashed a barrage. Arg! The skinny male screamed in despair as his soul shook. Zhao Feng waved his arm, and the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly appeared above the male's head. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly quickly waved its wings, and a half-transparent multicolored pollen landed all over the male and into his soul. The skinny and wrinkled male felt his body go numb as he lost control of his body in true Yuan. Gaze of the god's eye. A purple whirlpool started to spin in Zhao Feng's left eye, and a forbidden force covered the area. A half-transparent Yuan soul started to leave the skinny body. The eyes of the skinny male were full of fear as he did his best to struggle, but the soul attack, the God Tribulation lightning attack, and the effect of the dream pollen was still there. He had no chance to fight back at all. Whoosh! The skinny male soul was sucked into the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye. Now that Zhao Feng's soul was extremely close to a sacred lord, his soul techniques were completely comparable to sacred lords. His sacred lightning body had reached the peak 5th level, and emperors that had low states of existence would be completely suppressed by him. The existence of his god's spiritual eye countered all assassins. They weren't able to escape from him at all. The skinny male was an unrivaled emperor, but he wasn't even able to last for a short moment against Zhao Feng's full power. All of this happened within 5 breaths. 5 breaths to defeat an unrivaled emperor. Emperor Ling Chong and the male in black robes were dazed. How long had it been since Zhao Feng left the 10,000 Sacred Clan? Now he had reached such a level after only a few months? After the shock passed, the two felt lucky. They were protecting Old Monster Shu, but a strong assassin had been hiding not far away from Old Monster Shu and they didn't even realize it all. If it wasn't for Zhao Feng, Old Monster Shu might have died the moment he was about to break through. The two emperors rushed over, and Emperor Ling Chong gave a faint smile. "Thank you, Zhao Feng." The emperor in black robes revealed an apologetic expression since he was just about to stop Zhao Feng a moment ago. "I'd obviously help out my servant when they're in danger," Zhao Feng said before continuing to inspect Old Monster Shu. The two were speechless. Although that was the truth, they still felt uncomfortable when someone called the Grand Elder their servant. At this moment in time, the purple golden whirlpool started to descend, and the pure sacred power poured into Old Monster Shu's body. Old Monster Shu's body glittered with a flashing sacred power as if he were a god. The scenery in the sky started to fade away, and Old Monster Shu opened his eyes after a while. Wang boom! A magnificent power swept in every direction like a storm. This aura ruled supreme above everything and even caused space itself to tremble. Zhao Feng and company felt their true yuan, bloodlines, souls, and intents become suppressed. Everything within 1,000 miles fell into complete silence. Countless beings didn't even dare to breathe out loud. Every action and movement of the Sacred Lord contained the intent of heaven and earth and their understanding of the origin. Emperor Ling Chong and the Emperor in black robes were almost injured since they were caught off guard. Old Monster Shu. Zhao Feng broke the silence and walked forward. Old Monster Shu had just become a Sacred Lord, and he was much weaker than the Nine Darkness Demonic Lord. Now that Zhao Feng's cultivation had increased and his sacred lightning body had reached the peak of the 5th level, he had the ability to resist against the magnificent power of a Sacred Lord. Old Monster Shu slowly started to conceal his aura. His face was red and had smiles all over it. "Zhao Feng, this old one will remember your help." He had been stuck at the level of an emperor for thousands of years, and his dream was to become a Sacred Lord. All of this was because of Zhao Feng. In addition, Zhao Feng saved his life just now. Although he was focusing on breaking through to the mystic light realm, he was still aware of the changes happening in the outside world. "Come with me." Zhao Feng was slightly tired. He put one hand on Old Monster Shu before disappearing alongside a flash of silver and a spatial disturbance. Zhao Feng and Old Monster Shu appeared above the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. This was the first time he had taken a Sacred Lord with him to teleport, and the energy expended was more than 10 times what it was in the past. Maybe this was due to the unique characteristic of a Sacred Lord's body. Within the discussion hall. "Now that you've become a Sacred Lord, you can start taking action in the 10,000 Sacred Clan. Discuss the specifics with Bai Kuang Yue." Zhao Feng seemed to become more tired as he spoke. He then told the two his plans of ruling near the ocean, but the specific plan still had to be discussed. They would wait for Supreme Emperor Dark Knight to return before expanding. "You will listen to Bai Kuang Yue from now on." Zhao Feng waved his hand, and a skinny male appeared. "Understood, Master." The skinny male stood behind Bai Kuang Yue. Bai Kuang Yue's heart shook. Zhao Feng left for 5 minutes and came back with an unrivaled emperor slave for her to control. She couldn't help but feel a warmth in her heart. "He's an assassin hired by Earth Spirit Hall. Old Monster Shu, don't do anything right now. I'll need you to stay in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion while I enter seclusion," Zhao Feng ordered. "Understood, Master." Old Monster Shu's expression changed slightly. He knew that, if Zhao Feng's goal was to rule near the oceans, then Earth Spirit Hall couldn't exist. After giving all these orders, Zhao Feng felt that he couldn't open his left eye anymore. He entered a secret chamber and activated the restrictions before falling asleep. Chapter 909, Engagement. Meow meow. The little thieving cat jumped out of the misty spatial world and sat on Zhao Feng's shoulder as it gave a sigh and shook its head, as if saying that its untrustworthy owner was going to sleep again. Ever since Zhao Feng had traded for the cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly from Duke Ninfeng, the little thieving cat hadn't been as bored as before. The cloud silkworm Saint Butterfly also became the little thieving cat's underling and listened to his commands. Now that Zhao Feng was sleeping, the little thieving cat couldn't take its underling around because it needed to guard Zhao Feng. The little thieving cat was also in charge of the resources and the 5 poisoned distinct bees within the misty spatial world. The little thieving cat felt a lot of pressure. Ding! Ding! The little thieving cat threw the old bronze coins into the air and caused a clatter as it landed back into its paw. The little thieving cat seemed to go crazy by what it saw, and its eyes were filled with helplessness. Meow meow. The little thieving cat called out to Zhao Feng, as if saying that he needed to pay it after waking up. Your Emperor Withered Shadow, ranked 32 RD in black screen corner? Old Monster Shoe was stunned by the skinny and wrinkled male. He didn't expect Earth Spirit Hall to hire such a strong assassin to stop him from breaking through to the mystic light realm. Furthermore, Emperor Withered Shadow had been hiding in the darkness last time he tried to break through as well, but he didn't do anything after realizing that Old Monster Shoe was going to fail. Thinking up to here, Old Monster Shoe couldn't help but feel lucky. Earth Spirit Hall, I'll take revenge on you sometime. Hatred flashed through Old Monster Shoe's eyes. Zhao Feng's goal was to rule the coast, so he obviously wouldn't let go of Earth Spirit Hall. Now that Old Monster Shoe had become a sacred lord, the 10,000 Sacred Clan had returned to its 3-star glorious days. It would recruit more disciples, but it would give even harder tests. According to Zhao Feng's orders, Old Monster Shoe was to stay in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion most of the time and familiarize himself with the power of a sacred lord, so he gave the management of the 10,000 Sacred Clan to the other 2 emperors. Everyone could see the changes to the 10,000 Sacred Clan, but only some of the upper echelon members knew the true reason. Precisely because they knew what it was, they were stunned. From the perspective of the 10,000 Sacred Clan disciples, the 10,000 Sacred Clan and Ocean Smoke Pavilion had teamed up, and the 10,000 Sacred Clan would return to its glorious days. These young disciples felt their blood boiling. Elsewhere, in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion, with the top assassin protecting her, Bai Kuang Yue did everything more decisively. She was more courageous as she started to expand the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. They had resources from Zhao Feng and manpower from the 10,000 Sacred Clan. In just half a year's time, the power of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion wasn't weaker than a 3-star force. The only difference was that they didn't have a sacred lord themselves. Another half a year passed, and Supreme Emperor Dark Knight returned with his group of elites from Black Screen Corner. There were 2 emperors and 8 kings in the group. The rest were Great Origin Core Realms or half-step kings. Overall, this was a very strong group of elites, and Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was in charge of forming the assassination organization, which was to be based close to the Misty Moon Island zone. Emperor Withered Shadow, why are you here? Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was surprised at seeing someone familiar in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. They were both top assassins of Black Screen Corner and the difference in their ranks wasn't very big, so they had talked to each other in the past and occasionally exchanged information. Emperor Withered Shadow was also surprised and then spoke, Master gave me a chance to restart. I didn't think it was you that accepted the mission of stopping Duke Ninfeng's breakthrough. No wonder you didn't return afterwards, you became Master's servant as well. Hee, Master can realize my ambition. Us 2 combined can definitely form an underground assassination organization that's only below Black Screen Corner. Supreme Emperor Dark Knight was very ambitious. I don't care about that, I just like to assassinate people. Emperor Withered Shadow revealed a cold and cruel expression. In a secret hall of Earth Spirit Hall, located in the Ocean Earth Island zone. The 10,000 Sacred Clan and the Ocean Smoke Pavilion have teamed up. Furthermore, the members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion that are responsible for getting information are very active. They're not putting Earth Spirit Hall in their eyes. Most of these voices came from domain-level kings, but there were also some peak-tier kings and emperors. At the very top was an elder in deep blue robes who floated in the air. He was covered by mystic light sacred power and didn't speak. Reporting to Grand Elder, back then, Zhao Feng killed 2 emperors and 16 Void God Realm kings of Earth Spirit Hall. If it wasn't for the fact that Duke Ninfeng stopped him, I probably wouldn't have been able to return. Emperor Zhang Xuandong lowered his head in shame. The force that Zhao Feng's staying in has teamed up with the 10,000 Sacred Clan, which has just become a 3-star power. They definitely want to fight against Earth Spirit Hall. Grand Elder, please make a decision. The elder floating at the very front suddenly opened his eyes. He didn't expect this to happen just as he exited seclusion. A group of Void God Realm experts had been slaughtered by a junior. If news of this spread, Earth Spirit Hall would lose all face. In addition, The 10,000 Sacred Clan hadn't asked Earth Spirit Hall if they could rise or not. The invisible aura made the entire space tremble, and the hall was dead silent. Many domain-level kings felt their blood freeze, and they became unable to breathe. Humph, Earth Spirit Hall is the ruler around the oceans. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter harumphed coldly and made the hearts of all the experts present shake. The elders of Earth Spirit Hall were planning to send a strong force of unrivaled emperors and numerous regular emperors to kill Zhao Feng, but they received news that old Monster Shu had broken through to the Mystic Light Realm and was personally guarding the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. They could only give up and wait for Sacred Lord Sky Splitter to come out of seclusion. Seeing how angry Sacred Lord Sky Splitter was, they knew that the Grand Elder would take action himself. Reporting to the Grand Elder, Zhao Feng has been in seclusion in the Ocean Smoke Pavilion for a year, but old Monster Shu, who is now a Sacred Lord, is personally guarding it, a peak Emperor below warned. Furthermore, Zhao Feng has a close relationship with Duke Ninfeng, who has also become a Sacred Lord. Duke Ninfeng became a Sacred Lord as well? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's face dropped. He didn't put old Monster Shu in his eyes because he only just broke through, but Duke Ninfeng was an Imperial. If Duke Ninfeng wanted to protect Zhao Feng, there was nothing Sacred Lord Sky Splitter could do. However, how would Earth Spirit Hall manage to rule the coast if they let go of Zhao Feng, who had killed 2 emperors and more than 10 kings of Earth Spirit Hall? Not to mention that Zhao Feng was one of the biggest beneficiaries of the Divine Illusion Dimension and had obtained multiple substandard god weapons. How dare Zhao Feng kill people from my Earth Spirit Hall? I will take action personally, Sacred Lord Sky Splitter said in a forceful tone and then disappeared into the darkness. The elders within the secret hall were filled with excitement. A few of them had survived Zhao Feng's slaughter. I'll need to go discuss this with Duke Ninfeng, but before that, Sacred Lord Sky Splitter turned into a ball of light and sped across the limitless ocean. 3 months later, he entered a misty forest. Before Sacred Lord Sky Splitter descended, a voice sounded in his soul. What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be guarding Earth Spirit Hall? I've come to find you, old ghost, so of course there's something good, Sacred Lord Sky Splitter smiled and said before entering the depths of a misty forest. The weird forest only had one simple and ugly wooden house next to a stream, but there were no living things within 10,000 miles. Tell me what you want. Get straight to the point, a wrinkled elder inside the wooden house slowly said. I haven't seen you for several hundred years and you're still the same. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter revealed a faint smile. He knew Old Ghost's personality, so he got straight to the point. He didn't have much confidence in negotiating with Duke Ninfeng by himself, especially now that the latter had broken through to the Mystic Light Realm. If Old Ghost went with him, he believed that Duke Ninfeng wouldn't offend 2 Sacred Lords and the forces behind them for just 1 junior. On top of that, they could get rid of the 10,000 Sacred Clan together. 1 3-star power was enough for the coastal region. Old Ghost had a weird expression as he looked at Sacred Lord Sky Splitter with twinkling eyes. Negotiate with Duke Ninfeng, then kill the new Sacred Lord of the 10,000 Sacred Clan in 1 Void God Realm Junior? Ha, nothing can escape from your eyes, Sacred Lord Sky Splitter spread his hands and said. Why do you need to take action against a normal Void God Realm Junior? That junior should be Zhao Feng, right? Old Ghost started to laugh wickedly. Some news regarding the Divine Illusion Dimension had entered his ears. After all, the Divine Illusion Dimension this time was a lot different from the past. That's right. You and I will go negotiate with Duke Ninfeng first, and I believe that he'll give us face. Then we'll go and kill old Monster Shu. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's eyes were grim as he suggested. Old Ghost's eyes spun as he revealed a deadly expression. I want half of Zhao Feng's possessions. In the central regions of the continent zone, within a large providence-covered building belonging to the Great Gan Imperials. In a glorious hall, the 13th prince was extremely excited. Mother, is this real? Why would I lie to you? Your father has already made an engagement with the Grand Elder of the Duanmu family. Before the 13th prince stood a beautiful female wearing a golden crown. She wore gold and silver robes and had love written all over her face. A middle-aged male nearby walked over. Chinner, this is all thanks to your mother. She told the Sacred Emperor many times how much you like Zhao Yufei. Thank you, Mother. Zhou Chen's heart was filled with joy. He couldn't even think about how the Yufei that he liked would soon enter his arms. Because of this, many other forces joined our side and will support you. The eyes of the powerful male twinkled. and Zhou Chen knew what his uncle meant. Jinner won't disappoint mother and uncle's hopes. I'm 90% confident in becoming the crown prince. Even brother's second prince might not be my match. Zhou Chen was extremely confident. Ha ha ha, looks like Jinner managed to recruit some strong helpers as well? The powerful male started to laugh. The second prince was the oldest prince and one of the favorites for becoming the crown emperor. He was extremely talented and had prepared almost 100 years for this battle. Since Zhou Chen dared to say such a thing, it meant that he was extremely confident. At the same time, within another prince's room, a unique youth walked back and forth in his golden robes. Damn it, how much does father like Zhou Chen for him to arrange a marriage with Duanmu family? Isn't that basically forcing the Duanmu family to support Zhou Chen? The youth's eyes were as sharp as lightning as he roared. Seventh prince, please calm down. We can't do anything. The sacred empress is the 13th prince's mother, a male in white who had a white jade-like face said gently in front of the 7th prince. But all this does is makes the 13th prince's starting point a bit higher. The battle to become the crown prince isn't just about who has more forces supporting them. Chapter 910, Another Sacred Lord. Back in the Tianfeng Great Island Zone, one black and one white figure surrounded by sacred power sped across the limitless ocean and soon arrived at the Duke's palace. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and Old Ghost floated in the clouds above the Duke's palace and released surges of their terrifying aura downward. Who tilde? At this instant, all the beings within several thousand miles of the Duke's palace felt unable to breathe and froze. Duke Ninfeng isn't here? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter scanned over the place with his senses and revealed a surprised expression. Sacred Lords, this one is the leader of the Duke's palace guards. Is there anything I can help you with? A golden-robed general who was a peak-tier king slowly flew up and greeted the two sacred lords. This male was extremely uneasy. He had never seen two sacred lords come to the Duke's palace ever since he had become a guard. The only one he had seen was the demonic Dao sacred lord from not long ago. What was going on? Emperors and sacred lords were coming and going constantly all of a sudden. Where has Duke Ninfeng gone? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter gazed down as if he was a god. The golden-robed general instantly felt a pressure bear down on him that made him unable to breathe and caused him to almost faint. Duke Ninfeng has left for the inner regions of the Lord Dynasty a couple days ago. The two sacred lords looked at each other with surprise, then revealed a deadly smile. Duke Ninfeng wasn't even here. This meant that they had no pressure. Even if Zhao Feng was killed, Duke Ninfeng couldn't do anything to them even if he wanted to. At the same time, regret flashed through Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's eyes. If Duke Ninfeng had left a while earlier, he wouldn't have needed to go get Old Ghost and split half of Zhao Feng's possessions. The golden-robed general instantly took a big breath as the two sacred lords left, then he returned to the Duke's palace, unable to calm down. When they were flying, Old Ghost suddenly remembered something and asked, I remember that the Ocean Smoke Pavilion is one of 9 Darkness Palace's subordinate forces. Now that Zhao Feng's taken over the Ocean Smoke Pavilion, why isn't there any reaction from 9 Darkness Palace? 9 Darkness Palace used to be a 4-star power, and although it was a bit weaker now, it was still a peak 3-star force and the leader of the demonic Dao forces. Old Ghost didn't dare to think about 9 Darkness Palace even if he had several more guts. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter had just come out of seclusion and only knew a limited amount of information, but he pretended to be very confident. The 9 Darkness Palace is located in the inner region of the continent and can't do much to this place since they're too far away. Furthermore, the 9 Darkness Palace is focusing on Nan Gongsheng, who has the power of the evil god. Old Ghost couldn't help but be surprised when Nan Gongsheng was mentioned. It's really incredible that Nan Gongsheng can inherit the power of a god. Old Ghost sighed in his heart. He had broken through to the Mystic Light Realm 10,000 years ago, but he was still only at the early stages of the Mystic Light Realm. A junior who was only a king had been able to receive the power of a god. That was quite a fortune. If he was able to comprehend just the slightest amount of divine power, he would probably be able to break through to the middle stages of the Mystic Light Realm immediately. Humph, so what if he got the power of a god? He's still not strong enough, and that's his sin. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter snickered coldly and felt angry as well, but he became excited when he thought about Zhao Feng's possessions. Apparently, he had obtained many legendary materials in the ancient mysterious palace and 2 substandard god weapons. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's eyes spun as he spoke, Old Ghost, you take care of Old Monster Shu while I go take care of Zhao Feng. We can't give him the chance to use the misty spatial world. Okay, Old Ghost agreed on the surface, but he knew what Sacred Lord Sky Splitter was thinking. The misty spatial world was a support type item and didn't require the user's cultivation to be very high. As long as they got it, they could use it right away. If Zhao Feng used the misty spatial world to run away, they wouldn't be able to chase after him, but the god-slaying arrow was different. A measly king wouldn't be able to fully unleash its power. Even those at the early stages of the Mystic Light Realm could only use half the power of a substandard god weapon. Several months later, in the Misty Moon Island zone, the Ocean Smoke Pavilion was much bigger than before and had many members traveling around. Bai Kuang Yue would spend a lot of time in the information hall reading the news. The earlier one got to know the news, the more valuable it was. This was the motto for all information agencies. A surge of power suddenly covered the entire water-transversed sacred land, and this power was enough to change heaven and earth and make everyone bow down. The members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion felt unable to breathe, and those below the king level instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. Old Monster Shu immediately charged out and was stunned by the white and black balls of light in the distance. Two Sacred Lords. One of them was Sacred Lord Sky Splitter from Earth Spirit Hall, while the aura of the other Sacred Lord was extremely weird, and his aura was even stronger than Sacred Lord Sky Splitter. Old Monster Shu's expression was bitter. He didn't expect that this would be his first battle after becoming a Sacred Lord. Bai Kuang Yue took a deep breath, and the other two emperors of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion also quickly came out. Their hearts dropped when they saw the sun-like and moon-like figures in the sky. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's divine sense soon found Zhao Feng's location, but he paused. Wasn't Zhao Feng in seclusion? Why was he just lying there sleeping? Old Ghost also sensed the sleeping Zhao Feng at the same time. Humph, I can feel a strong power starting to awaken in his left eye, Old Ghost snickered coldly and messaged. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter gave a wicked laugh. Then let him never wake up. Old Monster Shu slowly floated into the air and blocked the pressure for the other members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter, you're a Sacred Lord and yet you want to attack a junior? Humph, those that accomplish big tasks don't need to care about the details. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter didn't talk about logic with Old Monster Shu, he just circulated the mystic light sacred power within his body and was about to attack while Old Ghost watched from above. He didn't even need to do anything since it would be too boring, but Old Ghost's expression suddenly changed, and he turned around. Whoosh! Boom! A ball of green light shot toward them like a falling meteor. The expressions of Old Ghost and Sacred Lord Sky Splitter both changed as they felt the enmity within the green light. At the same time, all the members of the Ocean Smoke Pavilion were stunned. The combination of three Sacred Lords made them feel as if the sky was going to fall. At this moment, three Sacred Lords had appeared, and all the members fell into despair. Even normal 3-star powers wouldn't be able to fight back against three Sacred Lords. A male with snow-white hair and starry eyes walked out from the green light. His looks were perfect. His divine sense scanned toward where Zhao Feng was sleeping. Old Monster Shu and Bai Kuang Yue looked at each other. They felt as if this Sacred Lord wasn't their enemy, so they felt some hope. I'm Sacred Lord Sky Splitter of Earth Spirit Hall. May I ask who you are? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter stood next to Old Ghost and asked. The aura of this Sacred Lord was not simple, but they wouldn't be scared even if he was here to help the Ocean Smoke Pavilion. After all, from the looks of it, he was a wood elemental Sacred Lord that didn't specialize in battle. Duanmu Qing of the Duanmu family, the male with white hair said. He wasn't scared of the two Sacred Lords' auras. One of the 8 big families? The expressions of Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and Old Ghost were like two deflating balloons. The 8 big families were extremely old and heavily related to the Lord dynasty. Even though the Duanmu family was ranked last, it wasn't something a 3-star superpower could mess with, let alone the merely average 3-star Earth Spirit Hall. Old Monster Shu and Bai Kuang Yue were even more stunned. They didn't expect that this Sacred Lord would be from one of the 8 big families. Could their master have some connections with the 8 big families? May I know why Sacred Lord Duanmu is here? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter gave a faint smile and asked. If he was a Sacred Lord of the Duanmu family that was here for Zhao Feng's possessions, then they could still discuss things. Old Ghost had a grim expression, but he was helpless. I'm just here to find my disciple. Duanmu Qing looked at the two as his white hair blew in the wind. Disciple? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter paused for a moment. Ever since Duan Mucheng arrived, his divine sense had been inspecting Zhao Feng. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter thought that he was here for Zhao Feng's possessions as well, but he was here to find his disciple? Disciple? Sacred Lord Sky Splitter's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. Could Zhao Feng be the disciple of a sacred lord from the Duanmu family? How was that possible? How was Zhao Feng a disciple of a sacred lord of the Duanmu family? Why didn't anyone from Earth Spirit Hall tell him this? If they took action against Zhao Feng, they would be offending the Duanmu family. That's right, my disciple is called Zhao Feng, Duan Mucheng said confidently as he came over to Old Monster Shu's side and looked at Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and Old Ghost. Old Monster Shu was overjoyed. He didn't expect his master to be directly related to the Duanmu family. Bai Kuang Yue let out a breath and admired her master even more. Those that were still conscious acted as if they had woken up from a dream and were filled with excitement. Grand Elder is from the Duanmu family? That's one of the 8 big families of the Great Gon Lord dynasty. A sacred lord from the Duanmu family is here to save us. Sacred Lord Sky Splitter and Old Ghost had ugly expressions and remained motionless. If they fought right now, they would still have the advantage, but they couldn't and didn't dare to. Well, we were just passing by, we won't be interrupting you. Goodbye, Sacred Lord Duanmu. The 2 sacred lords gave deep sighs and left helplessly. At this moment in time, one side of Zhao Feng's hair had turned faint gold, and a ripple of gold spread throughout the air. This golden ripple wasn't true yuan nor soul intent, and it passed through everyone's body. Everyone trembled and felt uneasy. The instant the golden ripple scanned through them, they felt as if all their secrets had been exposed. The 2 sacred lords looked toward where Zhao Feng was sleeping with puzzlement before quickly leaving. Those from the Ocean Smoke Pavilion let out a breath and were filled with joy. Duan Mucheng slowly descended and spoke, after this evolution, Zhao Feng's god eye will become even stronger.